And rising, captains! Beat the ice baths in 15 minutes. Like, what did I get myself into?
Welcome to another edition of Tiny Table Talks with Tay here at the Captain's Lifestyle Immersion. I am joined by one of the attendees, one of the repeat attendees of the Immersion and former client, Captain Seven Steves. And on today's episode, you guys are going to get to hear the tale of Captain Seven Steves and how he was awarded that title. Steve graduated the Captain's Lifestyle program a few months back now and attended the inaugural immersion. He was granted the title of Captain Seven Steves. And on today's episode, we're going to be diving into that because people have been asking. The fans want to know. Captain Seven Steves, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
So before we get into the tale of Captain Seven Steves, walk us through the tale of you deciding to join the program and then attend the immersion. What was that process like?
The process started, I had a birthday on April 6th, and I started to think about the trajectory of my life and how I was stuck between working hard in a grind, not finding fulfillment and that kind of thing. And I decided that this was something that I needed some help with. I had seen some of your work on TikTok, and I just thought that this was something I could take a chance with. So I booked the call on that day, my birthday, and within a day or two, we had our first meeting. And it became clear to me in that call that you could help me. And I remember part of it saying, if I can help you, then we can move forward. And if I'm not the one for you, then I'm going to possibly suggest someone else. So I felt that this was a good connection. So we got started, and I was thinking there was going to be this magic bullet. If you just put all these things into place, everything will be great, starting on day 2. And as I started to go through the program, I realized that it takes more than that. It's a lot of layers, and that it was going to start with a single step. So that step was starting the calls. Before getting to the immersion, one of the first steps was the introduction to cold exposure, with the idea that I was going to take a cold shower. What? I have never taken a cold shower before. All of my programming was, if the water heater goes out, you better get it replaced within 24 to 48 hours, because that's like one of the most horrible things that could ever happen to you. It also brought back a funny memory of how, as a toddler, my dad would get into the shower before checking the water temperature. So I think I was about 2 or 3 in the morning, or 2 or 3 years old. Apparently, I would go into the garage, find the hot water heater, and the knob, the round knob, was just perfect size for my hand, and I would turn it off. I don't know how many times that happens, but the legend was, that damn kid turned off the water heater again. So it brought back those memories, and I thought, oh my gosh, I can't see myself doing this. Then I decided I'm going to give it a shot. I did. It was not the most pleasurable experience that I ever had. And I can say now, a little over a year later, I have taken a cold shower every single day, with the exception of maybe one. And it gives me that vigor in the morning. My showers are shorter, so I'm saving water at the same time. And it's just a great start to my day. So when we got the idea about the immersion, was I wanted to experience what it would be like to be completely in this space, eating good food, being around like-minded people. So I was all in. I just couldn't wait to go. And a few of the guys who were going through the program with me also were going to the immersion. So it seemed like it was going to be a great experience. And that was how I landed at the immersion at the end of my time going through the program.
So the program is about 3 months. So in that 3-month duration, you went from being like, why the heck would I ever take a cold shower? To taking a cold shower, and then 3 months later at the immersion, taking your first ice bath.
Yes.
Walk us through that experience. First one. What were you thinking? What was going through your head? How was it?
My very first experience was being out in a tent and hearing, Grand Rising, Captains! Beat the ice baths in 15 minutes. What did I get myself into? And it was cold.
Yeah.
So we're out there in our swimsuits, no shirts on. The breeze is coming through, and this music is playing. I'll have to get the track because I absolutely love it. Just getting us into the mood and hearing we're going to take you through breath work before you get started. We learned about Wim Hof breathing to be fully prepared for it. And there were 2 ice baths set up. I was in the second group. So I got in, got myself submerged up to the neck, started feeling a little bit of panic and hearing my coach here saying, control the breathing. Okay. So I started to do that, and it was like, and I realized that the ice bath actually was invigorating, especially since the night before I had tossed and turned a lot. It was one of those nights where I believe I saw every hour to hour and a half. So I woke up feeling less than 100% invigorated. And after that ice bath, what had happened the night before and feeling less than 100%, that meter just went up to 100%. I felt like I could make it through that day feeling really good.
How'd you feel about yourself after? Like, was that an accomplishment for you, getting in the
It
ice
was
bath?
a huge accomplishment. I had seen videos of people doing ice baths, and I did not imagine myself ever doing that. I thought it looked crazy and almost impossible.
How old are you, Steve, currently?
I am currently 63.
A lot of people give the excuse of age. I'm too old for this. An ice bath? I'm too old for that. No thanks. You went from not even taking a cold shower, then in the span of 3 months, now taking your first ice bath and feeling invigorated afterwards.
Yeah.
So then your second ice bath, this is the day after. How was that? Any difference from the first day?
I felt less of a shock going into the ice.
Because you knew what you were preparing for.
I knew what it would feel like.
Yeah.
And I was ready to go for it a second time. I just was mentally prepared.
Mm-hmm. The third ice bath, the infamous.
Well, before we get into the ice bath, we were in the sauna first. And there were some interesting conversations in there, one of which was having Taylor and Phil, who has this Waken property, talking about how they had done this poppy stick, which is this guy here. And they had done the sauna and then into the ice bath with the poppy stick, and talking about, the first time we went for 1 or 2 minutes, and then we were able to get it up to about 5 or 6 minutes. So we're at 5 or 6 minutes, and I'm just taking this all in. I didn't say anything. I just took it all in. And then our coach Taylor says, whenever you're ready, head out to the ice bath and we'll coach you through that part, because that is a little freaky to completely submerge under the water, breathing just through this little straw. So I get in and I have my feet out so that I can be able to completely submerge. And I start hearing the minutes go by. So I'm hearing 2 minutes. That was the goal, to get to 2 minutes. As I'm in there, I'm thinking about I had all kinds of thoughts in terms of what's going on at the immersion. What am I doing? Is this working? Where am I headed next? All of those kinds of things. I started to think about 3 minutes, 4 minutes go by, and I thought, Taylor did 5, I think. I believe Phil did 6, or vice versa. So we get to 6 minutes, and I'm asking myself, well, what if I could surrender into this? What if I could take the cold? What if I could continue breathing through this for 7 minutes? Yeah, that sounds pretty good. So I got to 7 minutes. So I get out, and Taylor's right there to greet me. I get the fist bump, and Then I looked up and I saw everybody in the immersion was standing up around the stairwell and they were all cheering and whatever. And I was just shocked. I hadn't had that moment before in my life of winning a race like that. Not that that was a race, but something
Yeah.
similar. And it was just like, did you just see what just happened? And it was really quite amazing. So I went up to Taylor and I said, so I understand that you did 5 or 6 minutes. I just did 7 minutes, so I'm challenging you. And there were two words, challenge accepted. We'll leave that for another story.
How did that feel to come up and see everybody around witnessing and celebrating the accomplishment that you just displayed?
It was surreal. What it showed me was how this group came together as a brotherhood and that we were all there to support each other. What really struck me also was that it was a very eclectic group of people. Everyone was valued and we all brought something different to the table. I was more than twice the age of most everyone there, and it didn't matter. I wasn't being judged for that. It clearly was a judgment free zone, in that it seemed like if one of us has a winning moment like that, that we all have it in some form. And that part was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Really cool.
So tell us how you actually were bestowed the title of Captain Seven Steves.
Well, the number seven was really cool, and at first it was Steve Seven, and my another coach, Dave Robinson, said, "You know what? It kind of sounds like seven Steves of the seven C's," and it just kind of stuck from there. So I
Mm-hmm.
liked it. I think it's cool.
Yep.
Love it.
Captain Seven Steves.
Yeah. So that's my handle when I go on the Zoom calls with the crew and that kind of thing. And it's kind of funny because when it stays on my computer and then I'm on some other kind of call and it comes up Seven Steves, and I'm like, well, what is that?
I am pulling up your results. Before you start the program, you fill out the initial assessment, and then once you graduate the program and become the captain of your own life, you take the ending assessment, and I'll read out some of your results. You went from an 8 out of 10 stress to a 3 out of 10. That's a big one. Your average daily happiness at the start of the program was around a 3. That bumped all the way up to a 7 afterwards. Personal development went from a 5 to an 8. Energy levels, this is a big one, went from 4 all the way up to a 9. How does it feel to have that much more energy throughout your days?
It was amazing. In the past, I would come home from work and just feel totally drained and just ready to eat, walk the dog, and go to bed. I would get home after this and feel like I'm going to do that, and I have energy to do a lot of other things. So it allowed me to be able to be present, not just for myself, but for my friends and family.
What was the one of or a few of the biggest factors that caused the reduction in stress? Because that's a big one that a lot of people are struggling with, and you were pretty high at an 80% and then dropped all the way down to closer to a 3. And of course that can depend on the day, but for you, what are some of the ways that you've learned through the program and the immersion to better manage the stress?
One of my biggest takeaways is with the word work.
Mm-hmm.
And a switch for me was I had gone through a really tough month where I was needing to take on financial responsibility for my mom and sister who were struggling with that. Found out it was really a mess. So I'm thinking, so now I have to do this and I have to take over the bank account and I need to get this under control. And Taylor says, stop. I want you to change the have to get to. What? I get to take over a mess? And I took a breath, thought about it, and said, yes, there are positives. My general mantra is good things always come out of something tragic or bad. And so in this case, I thought, okay, yes, I get to determine what options we have, limited though they may be. I get to get the ship righted. I get to provide for my mom and make sure that the life that she wants in the sunset of her life, I can fulfill as best I can. When I did that and I got that shift from have to get to, that was huge because it shifts from a mindset of negativity to positivity.
That kind of language it puts pressure on us, right? Thinking that I need to do this, I have to do this, I've got to get that done.
Yeah.
So much pressure that we
Yeah.
put on ourselves, and we can forget to be grateful and look for how we can benefit from those types of situations.
Right.
So
The other part that I did was as a classroom teacher, there, especially after the pandemic, it was a shit show with not so much academic losses, but social emotional losses and interpersonal skills and things like that. So I found myself spending much more time handling conflict amongst students in issues that I didn't see, which meant I had to spend time out of the classroom to investigate what was going on in order to figure out how to move forward. That was not gratifying in terms of, and it was very draining. So what I decided at that point was to decide that I was going to find the joy in teaching every single day, regardless of what kind of day I had. I was going to acknowledge it and celebrate it in the moment,
mhm.
and that was a turning point also.
Accept the uncontrollable,
Right?
the A in the captain's code, and
Absolutely.
control what you can.
Yeah.
Captain Seven Steves, what was the most profound impact either the program or attending now multiple immersions have had on your life?
The immersion has been really life changing for me as it has been for others to affirm and to live out what it means to be on the captain's lifestyle and to be firmly in it, to see how brotherhoods work and that we can be vulnerable and that men do have emotions. We oftentimes choose not to take the time to slow down and experience it and be able to be present with each other. So that that has been one piece. And another piece is Brooks, our king of play, gave a presentation about play and talking about different ways that people take on those roles in play. It could be the director, it could be different pieces. I don't remember what they all are. And I had this revelation that, oh my gosh, some people are climbing trees or playing ball or whatever. Something I loved to do as a kid was taking photos. Although I didn't really know what I was doing, I seemed to have some innate talent for that. And I had said a while back that when I have time, when I retire, I'm going to take up photography. I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to really learn how to do it. Okay, you guys go play. And I got out my cell phone and I started taking videos and pics of people at the immersion. I get immense joy of being able to upload those for other people to share. There's something about photography of taking that still picture in that moment and capturing that I believe video, although it has its purpose, it doesn't capture it quite the same way. So I committed at the immersion in September that I was going to take a photography class. I put it in the crew Telegram chat and I gave progress reports that, hey, I applied to the local community college. Then I signed up for the class. I've been having a blast with it. It started in January, it's ending in a couple weeks. And the best part is that for our final project, our sixth project, it's left completely open to whatever you want to do. It just has to be proposed. So I decided what better, I'm going to the immersion. What better way to do a final project than to go with the immersion? I didn't know, and I still, before arriving here, I wasn't sure what I was going to be capturing. So I just let it go at that, and I said I'm going to planning to capture environmental portraits, candids. So I've been having a blast taking those photos, and although we get our phones for a short period during the day, I upload some of the pictures from my digital camera onto my phone to be able to add to the Telegram chat for other people to enjoy. And it's one of those things where it's a gift that I can give, that I truly get just so much joy in seeing people enjoy what I was able to capture.
Talk about full circle.
That is totally full circle. I can't think of a better way to close that circle.
And that's what happens when you take action, right?
Yeah.
That was less than a year ago, right?
Yes.
That you heard the play seminar, you rediscovered your love and joy for photography. You took action, you signed up for the class. That's how progress is made. That exercise that we just did, we can't just write these things down, and even with our hand in the quantum block, like, yes, that's a fantastic place to start. And that's why I love how they close it up at the end there. What is an action step that you can go take? And this is what happens when you take action. It comes full circle, and you get what you had planned.
I am so excited when we finish a project. We go through a critique, and we have these padded boards where you pin up your photos and you decide how to present them, how many to present. In this case, it's a minimum of 3. I can't imagine having any less than 6 to 8 that I would pick. The challenge we were given was to think of an adjective that would describe, or what a viewer would describe from these photos. So I thought about words like courage, strength, brotherhood, and those will be in my mind as I select the images. It's going to be interesting to I have a few hundred already. I will need to pare that down to 72 for the contact sheet, and then from there select whatever number I think best represents the breadth of the experience.
How does your life look different now that you've gone through the program, you've attended multiple immersions, you are the captain of your own life?
It feels empowering, and at the same time, I give myself grace to know that there are times when I slip backward. I wish it were a trajectory that goes straight up. And the reality is that we do have these setbacks. So in those instances, what I do is I give myself grace that day to say, okay, I'm dealing with this. Why is this happening? Tomorrow is a brand new day. That starts. Or starts a new day, so that I choose to avoid the victim mentality and instead go after what I can control, which is how I respond to the situation, how I get myself back on track. And the captain's lifestyle is a very multi-layered process that involves the whole captain's code. There's so many pieces to that.
8 in particular, right on the wheel of lifestyle optimization.
Right.
8 layers deep, and then a full immersion.
Yeah. There's a couple of areas where I have identified for me to focus and realize that that's a gradual process, that as much as I'd like to say, well, just eat differently, just do this, that's something that I am working to get out of a grind of old behaviors that have developed over decades, not just short period of time, and that does take some time to be able to reprogram.
Well, Captain Seven Steves, for completion of the Captain's Lifestyle Program, I would like to grant you your certificate of completion and a sticker.
Yes.
Live the Captain's Lifestyle. Official.
And I should get your signature, right?
Yes. I will.
As long as
I will sign and date it.
Thank you.
Captain Seven Steves, thank you for joining me on the podcast to tell your tale. Thank you for trusting in me, for joining the program, attending the immersion, for doing your final project at this immersion, and for being an active and valued crew member.
And thank you for being an amazing coach who listens intently. It's something that is difficult for many, and you do that extraordinarily well. You have a way of being able to plan all of this to bring in the best of the best of the best that help to facilitate us seeing other resources out there to help us in addition to you. And the way that you put your effort into planning makes this look seamless and easy. And that's because it's so well planned. And at the same time, when something doesn't go exactly as you had scripted it, that you're able to make those adjustments without panicking and doing that cool under pressure,
Mm-hmm.
so that
Ice bath.
the ice bath does it every time.
Yeah.
And so I appreciate you, and I appreciate you letting me reverse coach you from time to time
Mm-hmm.
and let you know what you are doing well, and that I care about how you are as a person, not just as a coach, but how are you doing personally with all this. And I also appreciate in looking over the course of a year what you have accomplished and how this has grown because of the effort that you put in. And it's clearly coming from the heart. And one of the experiences that I noticed yesterday, we were going through some story work. I don't remember who it was, but it was a deep story, emotional story. I turned around and I saw you sitting in a meditative position at one point like this, and then at another point I noticed that you had your hand over your heart. And it was so genuine, and it's a layer and a facet of you that I have gotten to see many different facets, and they're all genuine. So I appreciate that, and acknowledge that, and appreciate you not just as a coach but as a friend.
Received.
Thank you.
Captain Sim Steves, thank you, and live the captain's lifestyle. Peace.
Peace.